Yo guys, it's Slyroh. You already know that today I'm going to be recapping week 31 of my 2025 video game backlog journey. Link in the description if you need the full explanation to the journey and the games on this list and all that sort of stuff. As always, I am going to recap the previous week in terms of what happened, what I played, yada yada yada. Then I will dedicate a section of the video of diving deeper into each of the games that I played, and then I will preview the week ahead. So this was week 31. We are well into the year. It is August now, things are flying, it's a little crazy. So, in terms of the past week, it really just involved a lot of working. No days off since the last time that I recorded this, because I have a different work schedule now that, each week is not, I don't have the same amount of free time every single week. But I don't know that I did a lot gaming-wise in terms of the backlog completion. But I do feel like I gained a lot of clarity, and I have made some decisions as to what I'm doing. So where we left off, I was playing Dante's Inferno, Neo, and Fire Emblem Faith Conquest from the backlog, as well as my playthrough of Date Everything, while also playing Lost Records Bloom and Rage, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 plus 4, and Shadow Labyrinth, which is a lot. And so, unsurprisingly, I'm not going to be keeping up this pace, because part of this journey is really just figuring out, like, part of it is getting me to play and finish games that I haven't for one reason or another already. But part of this is really just finding more games that I enjoy and realizing when I'm just forcing myself to play it, and, you know, when I'm just not having fun anymore. So, with that, some decisions have been made. So let's talk about, this is going to be the what. I'm not going to dive into the why until I get to the next section of the video. But Dante's Inferno still has not been completed, but I am working on it. I am fairly close, I think, and I really just haven't had that much time to play that much Xbox in general this week. So that is something that I'm still working on, but it's not done yet. Neo is a game that I've been putting some more time into. Still great, but you know, is going to take a while to get through. And then Fire Emblem Faith Conquest. This is the part where the color system that I have for completed and dropped is a little wonky, because I don't know like which one to do it, but I think I made the decision to at least take this off of the backlog. I'm going to count it as completed, but I didn't actually beat it. So I don't really know what that falls under. I made it to about chapter 20 out of like 26. And I will get into why, but I just don't, I feel like I'm wasting time putting more time into that. I think this is a game that I will probably go back and like finish just to say that I like beat it to the end at some point in the future, but I don't think that point in the future is going to be this year during this backlog journey. So I don't know if that necessarily makes it a complete game, but I do feel like I've played enough to have my complete experience in it. Like I don't know, I feel like I played enough to get a well-rounded opinion of the game. So I don't know if I don't really care too much. I'm not as invested as like, oh, this one should be green or red or whatever. But I'm taking it off the backlog regardless, and we're counting that those hours out of it, because I'm not going to touch Conquest before the end of the calendar year, and that's all that it really comes down to. In terms of new games, I did not play any more Lost Records Bloom and Rage this week, so I'm not really going to be talking about it this week. I still plan on trying to put more time into it. I have been struggling with that. It's not a very long game, but I've still been struggling to put time into it. But this week, I just didn't really put much time. I found it harder to put as much time into games this week as I did the week before, basically. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about Date Everything because I have a playthrough. If you want to see my thoughts, just watch the playthrough. But, you know, it's still going well. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 plus 4 is a game that I have continued to play. Shadow Labyrinth is a game that I put more time into. This is just an estimate. I didn't actually go and look and make sure that these hours played are accurate. But Shadow Labyrinth, I think I'm also going to, I don't know, I could put green, I could put red. I don't think it matters too much. I guess technically I'm dropping the game, so it doesn't really matter. But essentially, yeah, I'll talk more about it. But I don't see myself continuing to play this, at least not this year, maybe ever. But that is where I'm feeling right now. So that is where we're at right now. Yeah, I mean, not playing to the end. I know, like, I just said that I wasn't that invested, but I was like, technically, if I didn't beat it to the end, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you even care? You probably don't care. It was like, if I beat a game fully, is that a complete, or did I complete it because I completed enough to get my full well-rounded thoughts on it? I don't know. That's where we're at right now. But in terms of life events, nothing really. I was looking at my sort of new games like for the rest of the year, and there's not that much, so I really should be able to focus a lot more on backlog games, which I have been doing a decent amount of, which I will talk about in this next section of the video, but I'll be able to do even more so. But let's go ahead and move on to the next section of the video and talk about why I made some of the decisions that I've made. So I will start with the new games because it's not going to take long to talk about. Again, I'm not going to talk about Lost Records Bloom and Rage because I did not put any time into it over the past week. I'm not going to talk about data everything. So I'm just going to start with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4 because that, my opinion, is rising a little bit. Where something about the Pro Skater formula, with like the goals that you have to try and do, some of them are a little hard to figure out, but a lot of the levels kind of feel like I'm just playing like almost like a platform game or like a puzzle game, and I just need to figure out like the puzzles, and the only difference is there's like a time limit for you to figure it out, and then, you know, just keep trying again. So it has been fun to figure out some of the puzzles. I think some of the stages have been really nice. I am finding it very difficult to win some of the competitions. I feel like I don't remember struggling that much in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2 with those ones, but I am finding it very hard to score highly in some of the competitions. Yeah, I don't like. I think some of the scores that they want from me are pretty crazy. So, you know, we're about that. I haven't quite finished Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, like the 3 part of it. I haven't started on the 4 part of it. But it's something that is very easy for me to put a little bit of time into here and there. So that is something that I am enjoying, and I will continue to enjoy. But that's going to transition to the other new game that I'm going to talk about today, which is Shadow Labyrinth. And Shadow Labyrinth is the most, like, okay game that I've maybe ever played. I'm not very invested. I'm not disliking it. Some of the navigation is a little bit difficult. The map is a little hard to read for me. I don't always know exactly where I need to go. I think I found a boss, I beat it, and then I don't really know where to go next. And I don't really feel like looking up walkthroughs to try and get through it. I don't know, it's a Metroidvania in the sense that I'm just bad at navigating it, but I also don't know how well designed the map is. Like, a lot of places sort of feel similar. The combat is very bare bones. You have, like, one attack, a dodge, and then, like, that's kind of it. I mean, I unlocked, like, one special thing, like attack, and then this ability to, like, transform into this mech thing. And, I mean, it's fine, but, like, I don't know. It's just not really wowing me. And, I feel like when it comes to, like, focusing where I'd rather put my time into, it's just not this game. It's just very much whatever. And I have other things to play instead. So, I'm, you know, consciously trying not to make a habit of just like, oh, dropping games like before I beat them. But at the same time, especially when it comes to new games that I'm just trying out, it's like, if I'm not vibing, I'm not vibing. So I don't need to necessarily beat like every game that I play. Especially, I feel like more that's a backlog thing. Like the games that I put on the backlog, I really want to make a good effort to beat them. But when it's a new game, I'm just less incentivized, I guess, because right now my focus is a little bit more on the backlog games. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and talk about them. I'll leave Fire Emblem for last, so let's start with Dante's Inferno. Dante's Inferno, I've actually put more time into this past week than I have like any of the other individual weeks before. I do believe that I'm maybe 2 or 3 sections away from the end. Every so often, with a lot of these games, I'll look up a general, like, I'll basically just put in, like, so for example, I'll put in Dante's Inferno, like, walkthrough, right? And then you click and you can sort of see very overview sections as to, like, where the game is. Not because I'm looking for, like, help, but because I'm looking to gauge, like, how far into the game I am. So based on where I saved and what section of the game I'm in, I can reference that to, like, a walkthrough that has, like, a whole list from start to finish. And I'm, like, probably, like, 80% through, like, when I see a list of the areas in Dante's Inferno. Like, I've done like 80% of them. So I'm, fairly sure that with a few sessions, I should be able to get to the end of that game. My opinion is about the same as it was. I've definitely had some sections that have been more fun. I feel like I've found a little bit more of a groove. I've been unlocking more abilities, and the game has generally gotten a little bit easier. And I mean, it's fun, it's really fun, and I am looking forward to getting through the end of it. For some reason, these 10 hours that is listed for the playtime is seeming like a very, very long time, but it'll be good to get through. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and talk about Nioh. Nioh, still fantastic. I have had a couple of instances with Nioh where I will get to a boss and then get stuck. I forget if the last week when I talked about this game, if I was stuck at the second boss, but I essentially picked up the game and I was able to beat that boss that I was stuck on in like the second try, and then I made a lot more progress. I got stuck on another boss, but I kind of powered through that. I was focused on fighting it for like 30 minutes and beat, I think it's the third or fourth boss. So I'm making steady progress. I'm really vibing with the game's combat. There are a lot of things I don't quite understand. There are things like reforging and soul matching and buying and selling like items. It's like none of it really seems worth it, and so I feel like there's an entire part of the game that I'm not really like interacting with the systems, that don't really understand how they help me. So there's that I'm kind of thrown off a little bit by like, I don't know about this, but in terms of just like playing through the combat, and I've been messing around with some of the other weapon types and stuff. I had been focusing on just using like axes because that's what I like, but I've been trying to intersperse in some other weapon types as well as ranged weapons as well. So it's been fun, and it's a really good game, so I'm looking forward to keep playing it. But it is a very long game, so I don't plan to be done with it anytime soon, but it is something that I want to continue to put more time into consistently. So that's where I'm at with Nioh. Very exciting. I think I also looked at that just to get a sense of like end game level. It sounds like first time playthroughs, you're usually somewhere between level like 100 to 120. So I'm kind of using that as sort of like a gauge as to like how far away I am from the game. I'm not even sure if I'm level 30 yet. I'm like somewhere in the between 25 and 30. So I mean, I've got a ways to go, but it's exciting. I really like it. And then the last game that I'm going to talk about today, because it's the one that I probably have the most to say about, is Fire Emblem Fates Conquest. So, I don't know where to start with Fire Emblem Fates Conquest, but essentially the reason that I'm deciding to stop playing it right now is because I feel like I'm just wasting my time. And the only example I can give is the most recent thing that really just was the thing that set me over the edge. It was chapter, I believe it's chapter 20. It is a map that has this like wind gimmick that you kind of have to mess around with. I didn't really understand it at first, but by the time a few turns went by, I kind of understood how you were supposed to work with it. And I played through the whole level, got through the entirety of the level. I think one of my units died that I didn't care that much about, so it was fine. Got to the very final enemy. It had Xander attack this enemy. The enemy didn't do that much damage back, and I was like, alright, so Xander is safe here. And I would have had enough firepower to kill this one final enemy on the last turn. Then, this final boss enemy has a different weapon that was able to two-shot... it was able to double attack Xander with 100% accuracy and would have killed him regardless. And I'm like, okay, that is frustrating because Xander is the enemy, is the unit that I send in to sort of tank a lot of things. He does a lot of damage, and he's just like probably the best unit in the game. And then just randomly, the enemy just had a weapon that was able to, I don't know if it was super effective, I don't know if it was light, I don't know if it was all these, but it was like 18 damage times 2 with 100% accuracy, and I'm just like, oh, like out of nowhere, when the other weapon that the enemy was holding did not do that. So I've sort of settled in Conquest, and like these are experiences that happen like over and over and over, where I will get to like the end of a chapter, and then one enemy will pull out something that is not super well explained in the game. And what I mean by that is I do think that a lot of times the information is there, but it's a lot of information to keep track of. Like, for the Xander example, I would have needed to look at the other weapons, read the descriptions, read the weights, because I didn't know that Xander was going to get doubled. So you would have to calculate whether like the weight is going to change the speed stat, which is then going to affect whether you get doubled or not. Look at super effectiveness on a weapon when Xander is generally a pretty safe unit when he's at full health. In every other instance, again, I'm playing on normal. It's not like I'm trying to min-max every single turn. I'm not playing on like lunatic. I'm not doing any of that crazy stuff. So there's just a lot of levels of just like trying to understand like what to do. Each gimmick, map gimmick, sometimes takes a few turns to really settle in and figure out like what you're doing. Like the wind took me a little bit to figure out how you're supposed to work with it. The one before with the illusions, with the Kitsune, like fox people, you know, that one was weird just because of the way that they described the gimmick wasn't exactly how it lined up, where you can't attack the illusions, but those are the ones that will attack you, which is kind of the opposite of what they said. I don't know. It's a lot. It's not that the game is poorly designed, but it does. I am constantly having experiences of a very important unit dying to what feels like a very BS circumstance, and that is not fun. That is not enjoyable. I'm just getting pigeonholed into using specific units, and then when those specific units die, I just have to start all over again, and it is not very user-friendly, it's not very time-friendly, and it just feels like a waste of time. I'm not enjoying it, and it's just not for me. I don't know if it just has more information that you need to worry about than other Fire Emblem games. It's kind of hard to figure out calculations of like if two units are doing double attacks and then one of them is randomly able to like outspeed you for some reason, or some of them are able to stop your damage for some reason. Things are not super explained very well to the average player. So I get why this could be a favorite for a hardcore player that loves to keep track of all the little informations, and you need to do everything perfectly. But in a game without any sort of like time like mechanic, like a divine pulse, like being able to like turn back like a turn or two, I think this game like needs it desperately, because yeah, like without that it's just not, it's like basically not playable for me. And I mean, I've played other Fire Emblem games that don't have that mechanic, and I think they're just a little bit more forgiving, or maybe the information is just easier to understand, but Conquest just doesn't have it for me. So one of these days, I think I'll either try to just power through it, or I'll try to just put it on the easiest difficulty. But for me to just put it on the easiest difficulty just to beat it right now feels like a cheap way to experience the rest of the game. And I just don't have any motivation to do that. So I'm not playing Fate's Conquest anymore. I do think it's by far my least favorite Fire Emblem game so far. I think Birthright also has its issues, but not to the extent that Conquest does for me. I still think that the bones of a really good game for Conquest are there. Maybe in another, who knows, another time that I'll try to play it, maybe things will click more. I don't really know what it is, but yeah, I think I'm coming down on the side that I don't really like Fates that much. And then Conquest is the most Fates, and so it's even worse. Birthright is like very much Fates and pretty bad. Conquest is like even more Fates, which is even worse. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of other better Fire Emblem games to play. There's a lot of other better video games in general to play. So I'm going to dedicate my time to doing that instead. And that is, I guess, my whole Conquest spiel. I don't think there's much more I can add without repeating the same things. It's just not fun, not user-friendly, and I either ease up the difficulty in a way that I think cheapens the game experience, or I suffer through random BS that the game pulls out without explaining it very well to me. So yeah, it is what it is. It's very disappointing. I thought of all the games on this list, I mean, I thought Conquest was going to be a pretty easy, for sure, like one that I would at least like baseline. But you know, it's disappointing. So yeah, I'm very frustrated at it, but not much I can do about it now. So all right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up that section of the video, and we will move on to the final section where I will preview the week ahead. The week ahead does see me getting a couple of days off, which should theoretically lend a little bit more time for me to put in some gaming hours. Dante's Inferno is going to be beaten. That is just not negotiable. That needs to happen. I want to put some more time into Lost Records Bloom and Rage. If I don't put any more time into it over the next week, I might as well just drop it at this point. So in order to prevent that, I would like to put a little bit of time into that. And then if I can get to at least start doing the fourth game of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4, that would be nice. And then I'm probably gonna start at least one, if not two more games, especially once Dante's Inferno is done, because sometimes I just need a break from Neo and I need to play something else. Sometimes bashing my head against the same boss over and over and over isn't helpful. Sometimes it's more helpful to put the game down and come back to it later. Sometimes it is helpful to just, brute force it. But in times when I need a break from Neo, I definitely want to play some other games. So there are plenty on my mind as to what I would start. I've thought about Medieval. I've thought about 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. These are very possible. I've even considered Uncharted 3. I think we're getting close to another Uncharted game because I still have 3 more left. I've considered even Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. That's very much out of left field and random. But that is something. Life is Strange 2 is something that I definitely do need to start sooner than later. I've been talking about that for like 2-3 months at this point. So there are a lot of different things. I think Braid is something that I might play soon, just to knock another short game off the list. So there are options. Yeah, so just a lot of options, and we'll see how it goes. But I've definitely trimmed down on the amount of games that I'm playing in my free time. Right now I'm down to 4. I mean, I guess Date Everything as a playthrough, I just don't really count. But when I'm just booting up a game to game, right now I'm down to 4. I think that's a pretty good number to be at. And yeah, I'm going to focus on those. And then as I finish them, I will add some more in. I definitely, in terms of the new games, I also want to go back and play Tales of Iron 2 before the end of the year. That was a game that came out in January, I believe. Might have been February. But that is something that I would like to put some time into sooner rather than later. So I don't know if I'll start that at some point this month or not. There's not a lot of new games coming out for the rest of the year that I care about. There are some, but I feel pretty good about putting more focus on the backlog. I'm not quite ready to give up and think that I can't, get through all these. I really want to put the time and effort into playing all these, so I'm going to keep trying. I haven't lost hope, and I'll just do my best and see what happens. So that is where we stand, and I think I covered everything. Let me know if you have any experiences with any of the games that I talked about today, and if I'm way off base, or if not, how does your experiences relate? But I will go ahead and get on out of here, and next week will be week 32. So, we are definitely getting through the year pretty quickly, which I guess is exciting, but also a little scary. But hopefully you are enjoying this series and enjoyed this video. So let me know, but I will see you all next week. Goodbye.